of ancient Indian history. I welcome you all to a new class, to a new batch, and I hope that our interactions, our sessions will be very productive for you. और आप लोग जो एक ओवरऑल अंडरस्टैंडिंग है हिस्ट्री की वो आपकी डेवलप होगी, वो अच्छी होगी और आपके एग्जाम की प्रिपरेशन में दैट विल बी अ रियल बूस्ट टू यू. My name is Shalinder Singh. I would be teaching you Indian history, जिसमें ancient होगा. We will do modern and medieval part. Ankit, very good afternoon to you. Shivam, very good afternoon. Good afternoon, Simran. Yes, Tarun, this is right. Yes. तो गाइस हिस्ट्री में किस तरीके से हम लोगों को प्रिपेयर करेंगे, एक बैकग्राउंडर दे दूं मैं आपकी क्लास स्टार्ट होने से पहले. सबसे पहले आई जस्ट वांट टू नो वेदर यू गाइज आर कंफर्टेबल इन इंग्लिश और नॉट, और डू यू वांट मी टू कीप इट अ मिक्स ऑफ बोथ इंग्लिश एज वेल एज हिंदी. बिकॉज अगर पूरा हिंदी तो दैट विल नॉट बी पॉसिबल, बट अगर थोड़ा बीच बीच में अगर आप लोगों को इफ यू वांट अ मिक्स ऑफ हिंदी आई कैन डू दैट. बट इफ यू आर कंफर्टेबल अंडरस्टैंडिंग इंग्लिश टोटली देन आई वुड बी वेरी ग्लैड. सो आई लाइक won't have any problem as such. So are you comfortable understanding English? Okay, Tarun says only English. Okay, great job. Vijay Lakshmi Narala says English. Okay, right. Savan Chobe also says English. Okay, everybody, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Okay, Shivam is comfortable with both the languages. Okay. Tarun, where are you from, by the way? Are you from the southern part of the country? See, I don't mind taking sessions in English. In fact, जो मेरा जो काम है, see, I generally teach in English only. But you see, I do some of the sessions, especially free sessions, when there is a lot of tussle going on. Some students say, "Sir, हिंदी में पढ़ा दो, समझ में नहीं आ रही English." कुछ फिर then you have students from other part of the country, northeast, southern part of the country. So they say, "Sir, please talk in English." So then it throws me in a big dilemma. So that's good. Okay, okay. Tarun is from Tamil Nadu. Okay, that's fantastic. So we have a lot of diversity in the class. So tell me guys quickly, where all are you from, by the way? Yes, so that brings this question to my mind that where are you from, where are you located? So I just can have a glimpse of what is the kind of diversity in the class. Are you representative of the India as a whole, the kind of diversity we have in the country? Vijay Lakshmi Narala is from AP. Okay, Shivam is from Uttar Pradesh. As Tarun said, he is from Tamil Nadu. Rishi, very good afternoon to you. Supreet, hi, how are you? Then we have people from Bhopal, that is Ankit Goswami is from Bhopal. Okay, Supreet Singh is from Uttar Pradesh. Okay, Supreet, I thought by the way you are from Punjab, your name sounded so. Okay, so you are from Uttar Pradesh. Okay, I got it. Benedict, hey Loi, I am from Manipur. Okay, you are basically from Manipur. Now you're currently maybe preparing for exam, residing in Delhi. Fantastic. Suhas is from Maharashtra. We have student from Bihar, that is Rishi Singh. Subhash Chandra is from Haryana. Okay, so you are on your way to learn Hindi, Tarun. That's fantastic. In fact, I mean, if you can learn as many languages, that's for not only for you, but in general also. I think a person who is a polyglot, he holds much more respect and he's much at ease in communicating than somebody who can speak just one language. Okay, so we have student from Lahaul Spiti as well. That's fantastic. I'm just glad. I mean, look at the sheer diversity of the country. So Dechan Unapa is from Lahaul Spiti, Himachal Pradesh. Shivam, I am from Uttarakhand. I reside in Delhi. So further adding to the diversity of the class. Dev Pratap is from Indore. Okay, Pranjal is saying is buffering. I don't think Pranjal is buffering for the rest of the students. I think there is some issue from your end and you need to rectify it. Otherwise, my internet connectivity so far, I don't think there's any issue. Otherwise, rest of the students, they would have also said the same. Tarun, I answered it. I am from Uttarakhand. And I live in Delhi, by the way, so right now I'm based in Delhi. Okay, Simran is from Kurukshetra, Haryana. Okay, fantastic. So a lot of Indian states that you can see over here, and this is the real face of the country, guys. This is the what we need to be proud of, that there's so much diversity in the country. And in fact, you see, it can also be seen from another perspective, and people in India generally, some of the people, I mean not all, because majority are really proud of this sheer diversity. Some tend to believe that only their culture is the best, some tend to think that only their state the best. I think that's not the way to look at things, because in India we have so many states, so many cultures, so many cuisines, languages. That is something that we should really be proud of. And in fact, this is what makes India great. This is what sets India apart from rest of the countries of the world. You see, there is hardly any diversity in the Western world, just one race, one color, etc. So you have this privilege of being born in a country like India. Okay, Pranjal is from Ayodhya, UP, right? So guys, before beginning the session, I would just like to tell you that how we are going to conduct our classes. One is that our classes would be, first of all, interactive. So if you have any questions, like in the middle of the class or towards the end, you can ask me questions anytime. That is first thing. Then second thing is that we would be talking about the contextual part. So we would be talking about contextual understanding, conceptual understanding, as well as the facts. Because history may, if you think that we need to focus only on the facts, then that's not the right way to prepare for your exams. Because in your exam or otherwise also, history as a subject, we need to move beyond the facts, and we have to see the overall holistic picture in which those things develop. What was the background to it? What were some of the underlying causes because of which one particular incident or event happened, as would see in ancient Indian history or medieval Indian history. So there is some sort of background, more or less, to most of the events. Things don't happen very randomly, and as such, if you focus, and what most of the students do actually, they tend to run after facts. And frankly speaking, if you talk about facts in history, there is no dearth of facts. कभी खत्म नहीं होंगे फैक्ट्स चलते रहेंगे, फिर भी आपको लगेगा कि फैक्ट्स तो कम है मेरे नोट्स में, या क्लास में नहीं हो पाया, या otherwise I'm ill-equipped. What you need to focus is on the contextual part, conceptual part, which I would more be concerned about in the class. Facts will naturally come, because when we are dealing with history, we will also deal with facts. And if the examiner focuses on, let's say, contextual part, then you have to be so strong that you can answer it correctly. And apart from that, facts is something that we would also be doing simultaneously, because subject is such that we can't do it without talking about facts. So this is how it should be, and you should approach it. Now, whenever I'm doing a session in the class, the very same day you can go home and you can go through the PDF notes that would be provided to you at the end of the class. They would really be helpful to you, or maybe the next day you can go through it. But please don't tend to procrastinate. Don't tend to go through the notes after, let's say, 10 days, 15 days, because by then your retention power, what we did in the class, it will fade, and then you would not be able to connect with the notes that much. So if try doing that within a day or two, that will be the best way, the way you can retain maximum amount of information that first we do in the class, and then you supplement the same from the notes that will be provided to you after the class. And any additional notes, for example, let's say you read the Hindu newspaper. Are you guys reading the Hindu newspaper? Yes or no? That's a very good source of information. And let's say there is any development that's taking place with regard to history. So you can have the notes made from that, and you can have this separate register, either a separate register physically, you can do that, or maybe you can use a very user-friendly app that is called Evernote. This would be a very good platform for your preparation, Evernote. If you are already using it, fantastic. If you are not, you can give it a try, because it will reduce your labor of writing and copying notes. Directly you can copy paste, and that will make your job very, very simple. That will make your preparation very efficient, will save a lot of precious time of yours, because time is a precious commodity for you. So that is something that you need to be concerned about. You can give it a try at least. Okay, right. So let's begin with the first part of the Indian history that we'd be doing. First is ancient Indian history. First, we'd be beginning with class 6 standard NCERT, because NCERTs are a very good way of building your fundamentals. The foundation stone of any edifice is decided not by the stones that are used in that edifice or a building, but by the nature, by the solidity of the foundation stone. And that foundation stone in your case happens to be NCERT books. 6th standard we will do, then we will graduate to 7th standard, and subsequently 11th, 12th, etc. that we will be covering in this particular over the course of these lectures that we're doing. So that will really help you a lot. In fact, the examiners in many cases they directly copy paste the questions from NCERT, and as such you see a lot of questions are directly asked from the books, these books that we'll be doing, and as such it would really be kind of you'll have this structure in your mind with regard to Indian history by the time we end our entire course. Okay, so are you guys ready for the beginning Shri Ganeshaya Namah of our batch, the first chapter? Pratibha, a very good afternoon to you. Ekta, good afternoon, welcome to the class. Okay, you guys are ready, that's nice. Can you also quickly tell me what exams are you preparing for before we begin the class? Hi Naman, okay. All right. Okay, so let's begin. Let's go, guys, without waiting any further. Now, the first chapter that we'll be doing is Ancient India by Romila Thapar. This is the book that we'll be doing, and the chapter is Early Man. Now, we first need to do the prehistoric times, that is when man was not civilized. And when we say that man was not civilized, when we talk about prehistoric times, that is before history. So what does it actually mean? History means historic times, or prehistoric times is determined by the ability to write. Because if we have the inscriptions, if we have the manuscripts, if we have written sources, if the man or the particular society is able to read and write, that is called historical record or historical times. But prehistory is a time that we are talking about when man was not able to have the records in the form of a written script. He was not aware about any script at all. Why? Because he was just a nomad who used to roam around from one place to another, and that is why it is called prehistory. History will begin much later in India. We will talk about it when will history begin, but this is the time when we are talking about the man in India who is like he is just basically wanderer and food gatherer and a hunter. So this is the time that we're talking about. These are the points of discussion that we'll be doing in the class. You can see over here on the first slide. Man as a nomad. Guys, you guys are actually from different you see exams, but what I would suggest is, and the way I take it is that we are doing history, and in your syllabus you have to do history. Nonetheless, it's like very important for you to build this foundation stone, and this foundation class, this is what we are doing. So regardless of the exam that you're preparing for, any exam, this is what you will need to do for preparing for history, and this is what exactly we are doing in the class. So please pay attention without getting deviated. Man as a nomad, they were wanderer in groups from place to place, mainly in search of food and shelter, because when man was uncivilized, he was just a tribal roaming around in small bands of like 10, 15, 20 people from one place to another. He was just a hunter and gatherer. So how he used to live his life, how he used to sustain his life? He used to first of all hunt with the help of tools that he developed gradually, and then he used to have a gathering that was done mainly by the women. Gathering as in, let's say there is some fruit in the forest, there's some mango or maybe whatever sort of fruit, or maybe some sort of let's say mushrooms, or maybe something that grows under the ground. So all these things that man's life entailed, he was busy either in hunting or gathering, because during this time when he was a nomad, and nomad itself suggests that he was a wanderer, एक जगह से दूसरी जगह घुमंतु जानवर की तरह समझ लीजिए, because from one place he is moving to another place. He was not settled during this time. He did not have any permanent houses, though he did have some basic shelter. We will talk about the nature of shelter also, but then he was not settled in villages. Caves and leafy branches of tree were their shelter. So you can see leafy branches because it provided protection when you are building your hut or home, or basic, a couple of branches, and it's a kind of nest that they used to make over the tree, and that used to give him protection from the predators on the ground, like leopards, like maybe tigers, lions, etc. Another way was he used to live in caves. Caves were a very good way of having a home without actually making a home. So whatever natural caves used to be there in the hilly regions of the country, specifically the peninsular part of the India, where you have a lot of rocks and hilly areas, there he used to live in the caves, and this way he used to protect himself either from cold or during the rainy season, or from wild animals. During this time, India was very, very vastly covered with forest. In fact, almost the whole of India, you can imagine, it was covered with forest. And as such, you see, he really needed to defend himself from these wild predatory animals. And how he would defend? He would defend with the help of tools that he used to prepare. So these are some of the stone tools that he used to prepare, and this is also why he is known as Stone Age man, or this period that we are talking about is called Stone Age. Why Stone Age? Because stones were the tools that formed the kind of core center of his existence, because with the help of stones he used to hunt, he used to kind of do all sort of carvings that he had to do on bones or wooden sticks or otherwise. So they formed his most important technological breakthrough during this period. Pratibha, they used to, okay, you got your answer, right? I was just about to explain. I thought you were not able to understand. Yes, you got your answer. So with the help of these stone tools that they used to make for themselves, and also by living in, let's say, the branches of the tree, they used to make those small nests like the bird makes. So basically it's sizable for a man. So this is how they used to live. At night, they used to sleep there. And then caves also, and in front of the caves, the entry point, they used to build fires. So they used to have fires so that at night time the wild animals don't get into the cave. So this is how they used to defend themselves from the wild animals. Now you see this Stone Age, the early part of Stone Age is divided into three parts. This is the early Stone Age tools. We have pebble tools, that is basically made of stones, such as chopper, hand axe, cleaver, etc. So these were some of the basic, very, very kind of rudimentary way of making tools, because what man did was basically he used to live during this time in hilly areas, and in hilly areas there is no dearth of good quality stones. So what they used to do, they used to strike those pieces of stones and they used to make different tools out of them. So during the Middle Stone Age or Early Stone Age and the Late Stone Age, this time they used to have the kind of stone tools, but with the passage of time, the technology improved. For example, early Stone Age tools, they were very, very basic kind of tools, just chopped kind of stones. Then during the Middle Stone Age, it got even better. And then with the Late Stone Age, as man developed more understanding of his surroundings, those tools became even more sophisticated, more sharp, more pointed, more accurate. So this is how technological development also continued apace, apart from the civilizational advancement with the passage of time that happens invariably. Now one is this way. Now second way, and in fact to answer your question as well, see, this was the defense that he used to do for himself with the help of fire, because fire was a very good way not only against defending himself but also as a way of cooking food to make it more nutritious, to make it more tasty. So this is how actually fire revolutionized the life of Stone Age man. And that was just an accidental discovery. He was striking two flints of stones. Basically, flint is a type of stone. You can see over here, flint. This is found near river valleys. This is found around the hills. And while he was striking them, a spark got produced, and this is how basically he happened to gain knowledge of producing fire, of making fire. And fire actually happened to revolutionize his life. Can you imagine what sort of life we would have today without fire? Basically, no civilizational advancement could take place without fire. Neither cooking of food, nor making of sophisticated tools. For example, the metal tools, because for you see, shaping those metals, you require fire. So all sort of technological developments are associated with fire, and as such, it happened to play a very important role during this time. Then we have tools and weapons. We have already talked about those sort of tools. For example, it could be hammers, it could be choppers, it could be axe set, kulhadi vagera. All these sort of things they used to make with the help of those stone tools, and they only got better with the passage of time, as I said. Because initially what he used to do, if this is a piece of stone, he would strike maybe a part of it this way and this way. So this is how he would make it. So this way is gone, this way is gone, and it would be something like this. With the passage of time, he used to strike it even more. So you see, they became more and more sharper. So you would have more facet, and you see all the layers from outside, they are gone, and only in the middle they would have the tool that they require. Now the shape could be anything, not this that I am making. It could be in the form of, let's say, out of this they had to make this sharp borer type of thing, which would be something very sharp over here, pointed, this stone tool. It could be something like this, it could be whatever, maybe in the shape of a kulhadi, that is axe, which is called in English. So it could be anything. So with passage of time, he got to have more command over the working of stones. In India, some places are associated with early man. You see, in India, we don't have any concrete evidence with regard to the skeletons that have been found from those times, because the climate of India is, tropical, it's hot, and as such, any biological remains disintegrate very, very fast. This climate of India is not very conducive for archaeological evidence with regard to biological things, which is very conducive in the case of European countries. There we got to get a lot of fossils of human beings, but here we don't get in India much. By and large, there are negligible finds with regard to fossils from those times that we are talking about. And as such, the only way of reconstructing the history of that period, very, very broadly by the way, that is with regard to the stones that we have found, the stone tools that we have found from some pockets of the country. For example, Sohan River in Punjab, this is also known as Sohan Industry, because there are a lot of tools, stone tools that the man used during this time. It is in Pakistan by the way now. Then we have Kashmir Valley, where the bones of animals were also used. Now see, there are two ways of making tools. First is maybe stone themselves. Then we can attach those stones with bones of animals, with, let's say, jaws of animals. That would make, you see, give a handle to the man. And you can also use those wooden, pieces. Maybe you can join the stone tool. Let's say if this is a wooden piece, you can join the axe over here, and it will be a beautiful axe. Rather than handling only the axe with your hand, now you have a further command over it. It gives you further grip. Now you can use it in a variety of ways. So this is a kind of technological advancement that happened during this time that we can see in Kashmir Valley with regard to bones of animals. And then we have around Narmada River, we have a lot of such instances where we have come across these stone tools. And in fact, Bhimbetka caves also are quite famous, by the way. They are also in Madhya Pradesh, wherein we have a lot of caves wherein a lot of paintings have been done, and this is from this particular period that we are talking about. Now, moving forward, we come to the clothes. Clothes they used to wear. Now it's very common understanding. You would already know this, that they would have these clothes made of either barks of trees or skins of animals. This is how they used to wear the clothes, because those days they did not have any sophisticated machinery for producing clothes. They did not have any kind of neither fashion sense, not some sort of textile, neither they could produce cotton during those times, because cotton was produced for the first time much later. So what was the only source of clothing? That was whatever they could derive from nature. It was the clothes that they required, and as such, you see, in the climate of India especially, because we are talking about Indian history, Indian prehistory. We are not talking about European prehistory over here, wherein there was an ice age and there was very, very cold climate and man used to hunt the woolly mammoth. India में तो woolly mammoth नहीं होते थे ना, क्योंकि यहाँ का climate वो था ही नहीं. So as such, you see, man did not require much clothes in India in the first place. Whatever basic rudimentary clothes he required, that was more than enough that he needed from the environment. There were so many like animals in India and plenty of forests to take bark from. Now, the next development in his life was agriculture. Agriculture was, in fact, a very, very revolutionary landmark, an epoch-making event in the history of mankind, not only in India but across the world. Now, you see, when man realized that by some seeds that were scattered on the ground, that fruit that he was having, after some time, it actually germinated and it produced those plants that he used to harvest from the wild. Now he began to think and he began to scratch his head, if I can actually use the seeds from those fruits further on and I can save some of them, I can sow some of them, wouldn't it make my life much easy? Because I have to spend all my time running and chasing after the wild animals. And even those wild animals that I'm chasing after, they are more dangerous than me. Because even though, you see, let's say buffalo, it's got these strong horns. It can gore even a lion. Buffalo is a very powerful animal, by the way. And likewise, even a deer with the stacks, with, you see, these antlers, he is also quite dangerous to a man. And that's why man had to hunt from a distance. Because you see, physically, man is one of the weakest animals on the planet that God has created. Even a scorpion is much more powerful as compared to a man, because you see how scared we are from a scorpion, from a snake, all these small creatures. So this made his life more comfortable, and as such he resorted to taking up agriculture in a very, very big way. In a very short time, it revolutionized the history of mankind. And gradually what happened? First of all, man was semi-nomadic first. You see something called shifting cultivation, this is called, because the tribals basically, they shift from one place to another, they burn the ground, and they sow the crops over there, and when the fertility gets exhausted, they move on to another place. So this is something called as shifting cultivation, which is also practiced in India even today by the tribals in northeastern part of the country, in central part of the country. Very small population, by the way. Earlier it used to be at a much bigger level, but now everybody has by and large settled down, and this is something known as shifting cultivation. And then finally we have the full-fledged cultivation, wherein man gets totally rooted to the soil because of the farming that he is doing. He is attached to the land for his sustenance, and as such whatever shifting that he was doing before for farming also, that is totally done away with. Taming of animals, another very important event in his life. So you see all these events that took place in his life in the history of mankind, it was not one particular event, it was not within a couple of years, within 100 of years even. That was within a span of thousands of years. Gradually, very, very gradually all this happened. And the spread of these things also by and large was very gradual, apart from some other revolutionary things, for example the making of fire or agriculture. But all these things, don't assume that they are happening within a very short time. It might take thousands of years for all these things to happen, and nobody can exactly pinpoint and say this is the time when it happened. So we are actually not very sure as to when all these developments took place, but sometime in the Stone Age they did happen, and did happen very gradually. The taming of dog was a great help to the man. In fact, man was the first domesticated animal that a human being had. That's why a dog is called a man's best friend. First animal that he tamed, and soon after, in fact, goats and sheep also, they were domesticated. And man realized that with this domestication of these animals, his life becomes very convenient. Now he can share the burden that he has with the animals. He can derive his sustenance from those animals. For example, the meat that he could have from goats. For example, milk and nutrition he could have from sheep and goats. So likewise, it made his job very easy. The oxen he used to use for plowing of things. You see, even plowing itself in agriculture. So animals turned out to be a great assistance in the overall this drudgery of life that man used to undergo during those times. Then we have the discovery of metals. Metals were also discovered during this time, but it happened actually much later. You see, the Stone Age that we are talking about, during this time metals were not discovered. They were discovered much later, when man had already taken to agriculture, when man was by and large beginning to settle. But he was not happy with the stone tools that he had, because stones themselves have, a lot of limitations. They are not very durable, they are not very sharp, and you see, they can't do a lot of things that metals do. And as such, there was a period called the Copper Age first. Copper was the first metal that was discovered. But even copper had its inherent limitations, because it is a very malleable metal. You understand the meaning of malleable? Malleable and ductile. आपने शायद पढ़ा होगा स्कूल टाइम पे कुछ metals की properties. So this was not a very strong metal, and as such man then had to use tin. They used to mix tin with copper and produced a much durable, a much hardy metal in the form of bronze. And then the Bronze Age began, wherein the usage was centered around bronze, but at the same time man was also using what? The stones. So there was parallel usage of stones as well. Then another thing that happened during this time was the invention of wheel. Now nobody knows when wheel was discovered or invented for the first time, and how did where did it happen or when it happened, whatever. So basic information we don't have about it, but what we do know about it, that once the wheel was invented, once he began to use the wheel, there was this revolutionary activity, revolution that happened in the form of transportation. Because earlier man had to do all the jobs himself, or at the most he used to load whatever stuff that he had on the backs of the animals. But now he could make his life much more convenient. Now he could have a cart, he could use much larger baggage on his cart, and he could also sit on it at the same time. And now there are wheels, life becomes much easier, and he could travel long distances without exhausting himself, because the animals have to do the work and he doesn't have to do anything. So this increased his mobility, this increased the area that he was looking after, the territory that he had under him, and as such he could migrate from one place to another very conveniently. And then it was also a revolution, nothing sort of a revolution in his life. Now we come to the last phase of the Stone Age, which is the Neolithic. Neolithic, you would assume understand for yourself, Neo means new and lithic means stone. So this is the new Stone Age, or the latest Stone Age. After this there was no Stone Age, there was the Metal Age. Then man began to use metals after this last phase of Stone Age. in which there was domestication of animals, which we have just talked about. There was cultivation of plants, that is agriculture was done for the first time, and you see man became settled and he began to use the animals, and also he began to settle down, and he began to live in farming communities or village communities. So there was this rise of villages, a new phenomenon. Villages are coming up and there's a division of labor that is taking place. सबको पता है कि इसको क्या करना है, एक कोई पॉट्स बनाएगा, कोई पैन्स बनाएगा, कोई लेट्स से ज्वेलरी बनाएगा, कोई फार्मिंग करेगा, कोई यू सी घर का काम देखे. सो ऑल दोस सॉर्ट्स ऑफ थिंग्स बेसिकली दे वर डिविजन ऑफ लेबर वाज आल्सो कैरिड आउट एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ द कमिंग अप, springing up of villages and farming communities, and this also necessitated the usage of earthen pots. अब खेती की फसल उगी, उसको कहां पे स्टोर करेंगे? ऐसा तो है नहीं कि सारा का सारा खा लेंगे, बिकॉज जितना आप खेती कर रहे हो वो आपकी उस टाइम की इमीडिएट नीड से, उस पर्टिकुलर डे की नीड से ज्यादा ही होगा. एंड एज सच इट वुड रिक्वायर यू टू हैव सम काइंड ऑफ वेसल्स, एंड इनिशियली दोज वेसल्स ही यूज्ड टू मेक विद द हेल्प ऑफ हिज हैंड्स, not with the help of this potter's wheel जिसको कहते हैं. So initially he used to make with the help of his hands, by his own hands, and with gradual technological advancement he used to make it with the help of the potter's wheel. As far as the early villages are concerned, they used to come up in flat fertile soil जहाँ पे soil बहुत productive है. For example, the Indo-Gangetic heartland, and the kind of huts that they used to live in, they were basically thatched and consisted of one room. तो एक कमरा होता था, it was generally circular, this circular room, and over top it was something like this. Over top it used to be in the form of this hatch, or in some cases it could also be something like this. The hatches, जो hatch जिसको बोलते हैं वो, सॉरी thatch जिसको बोलते हैं, this used to happen. So ये एक बहुत छोटे छोटे इनके घर हुआ करते थे, and you see this is how man lived, not in very large quarters, not in very large villages, but nonetheless there was this gradual development of villages which only increased with the passage of time. As for the dresses and ornaments, the women wore ornaments of shell and bone and carried finely worked combs in their hair. So you see this was a time when now man has got more time for his own upkeep, for his own maintenance, for his own leisure, and this is the beginning of leisure. Now when he was a hunter, he barely had any time for leisure, for looking after him, for grooming purposes. But now that he has more time at hand, he has got settled down, there is surplus food that is kept in the pot for the next day or for the subsequent months, he or she can afford to look after their grooming, and as such you see fashion also gradually came into being. And this was also time when cotton was also produced for the first time, and you see cotton textiles and all those spinning and weaving also gradually happened with the passage of time. As for the religion, there was kind of there is something called animism. Animism बोलते हैं, जिसमें जो नेचर के जो फोर्सेस हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल सन हो गया, बारिश हो गई, बारिश वुड बी लाइक रेन गॉड, then you have sun god in the form of the energy that you get from sun, and likewise all these natural forces, they were worshipped by the tribals during this time. In fact, any tribal society has this form of religion that is called animism. They are nature worshippers, and in fact the Aryans also that came to India, they were also nature worshippers. We talk about Aryans in a subsequent class. Savan is asking, sir, can you specify the dates of Stone Age and Bronze Age? So Stone Age का अलग अलग उसमें जो पीरियड रहा, इनफैक्ट अप टू 10,000 BC, 10,000 बिफोर क्राइस्ट, दैट वाज दी एक पैलियोलिथिक एज बोलते हैं, पैलियोलिथिक. देन वी हैव फ्रॉम 10,000 to 5,000 we have Mesolithic. Meso means transitional, Paleo means early Stone Age, and this is Mesolithic as in the middle or transitional. And the Neolithic, which we talked about, is from roughly from 5,000 right up to let's say 2000 or 3000. तो एक exactly कोई date नहीं है यहाँ पे. It could be 2000, it could be 3000. There is no water का compartment demarcation as such. But ये broad dates हैं, rough dates हैं. And then इसके बाद फिर metal age start हो गया, which is in the form of copper age after 2000. It could be 2000 in some civilizations, it could be 3000 BC in some civilizations. This is the categorization. Nilisha, 8 point is what we have already discussed. So there was basically division of labor that we are talking about. And then it was for some people who would be doing cooking, some people would be farming, some people would be weaving. So it was basically society. The division of labor is happening for the first time, because when human being was a hunter, there was no division of labor. ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा क्या division था? That men used to go hunting and women used to gather. But now the society is becoming more and more complex. The societal structure is changing. There is division of labor happening. More crafts and occupations are coming up. So you see the society is gradually becoming more and more complex, which will only increase with the passage of time. So this is your answer, I think. Tarun is asking, how did they build the room, sir? They built the room very with basic stuff that they had, like uses of mud and whatever local material that they had. So thatch में जो local material जो झाड़ी वाड़ी से वो सब बना उसको देते थे. And they used to use clay was available plentifully, and then with the help of wooden sticks they used to have this clay around the wooden sticks, that is let's say circular wooden frame that they used to create, और ऊपर से उसके क्ले लगा दी, मिट्टी लिपाई कर दी उसकी, एंड देन ऊपर से उसमें थैच लगा दिया, जो जिसको झाड़ी, आई नो व्हाट थैच इज कॉल्ड इन हिंदी एग्जैक्टली, बट वो थैच यू कैन सी फॉर योरसेल्फ व्हाट इज दैट. तो झोपड़ी में जैसे ऊपर आज की डेट में भी गांव में यू सी दैट, आई नो व्हाट एग्जैक्टली दैट इज कॉल्ड इन हिंदी, बट वो जो चीज है वो ऊपर से उसको कवर कर देते थे. एंड दिस इज हाउ दे यूज्ड टू कंस्ट्रक्ट देयर होम्स. नाउ वी हैव टू डू एक्चुअली 2 more chapters, and we'll have to kind of increase the pace of our discussion. Chappar, okay, chappar, that is called, Shivam is saying, okay, right, all right. So we will have to go a little bit fast, because 2 more chapters are yet to be done, because it was the first chapter and the initial discussion. Then I think we have taken a bit more time, but then we have to do 2 more chapters now. Now you see, next we are going to talk about a very great civilization in the history of the country, which is the Indus Valley civilization. ये जो Indus Valley civilization है, don't worry, today we will be talking only at a very basic level today. The more evolved and see the advanced form of discussion we would carry out when we would be doing the Indus Valley civilization in the Ancient Indian History by R.S. Sharma. I think that's 11th standard book, 11th standard NCERT. Then we will see all the kind of town planning and the structures and all those details that we would talk about that. Today, just understand the basics of it, what kind of a civilization it was that happened in India during this time, and how it was different from rest of the civilizations in the world. Now you see, this Indus Valley civilization was spread around over a very large part of the northwestern part of the country. You see almost the whole of Pakistan. You see this area, in fact ये सारा area भी इसमें था, which has not been shaded. So almost the whole of Pakistan was under it. You see almost the whole of North India, a big part, including Indian Punjab, including Haryana, western part of UP, and you see even Gujarat and some part of northern Maharashtra, including Daimabad. So it is indeed a very large civilization, 13 lakh square kilometers spread around, and one of the greatest the world has ever seen. And in this civilization there is efflorescence, if you know, the rise of towns and you see cities, which is like unprecedented during this time. And what really sets it apart is that it is using a very sophisticated form of technology in the form of burnt bricks. And then we have town planning, we have sanitation, we have all these bathrooms and all, so which is like a distinguishing factor between the Indus Valley civilization and its contemporary civilization. For example, Nile Valley civilization, Euphrates in Iraq, Nile is in Egypt. Then we have Tigris in Iraq again, and Huanghe in China. So Huanghe river is also called as the Sorrow of China. As for the environment during this time, you see this area of the country that we are talking about today, it is by and large a desert and semi-desert. You know, सिंध हो गया, पंजाब हो गया, यहाँ पे आज की डेट में या तो डेजर्ट है या तो सेमी डेजर्ट है. जो बारिश होती है 25 सेंटीमीटर से कम होती है. एंड एज सच यू सी कैनाल इरिगेशन इज यूज्ड. इसलिए जो अंग्रेजों ने कैनाल इरिगेशन इंडिया में इंट्रोड्यूस किया था, लेकिन उस टाइम पे कई ज्यादा गुना बारिश होती थी. दैट एरिया वॉज लश ग्रीन, दैट वॉज वेल कवर्ड विद फॉरेस्ट. Even you see tiger, elephant, rhino and hippopotamus used to happen over there. They were found. In fact, बाबर ने तक rhinoceros देखे हैं इंडस जो रिवर के पास में. He writes this in his memoir, that is तुजुके बाबरी, और बाबरनामा. उसमें लिखा हुआ है कि मैंने पंजाब में खुद अपनी आंखों से rhinoceros देखे हैं इंडस रिवर के पास में. जस्ट इमेजिन आज की डेट में सिर्फ कहाँ मिलते हैं? Where you have rhinoceros in the country today? Only restricted to one particular small pocket in Assam, right? तो इस टाइप में you see इस टाइम पे कितना ज्यादा वहां पे बारिश होती होगी. Now you can well imagine for yourself. प्लस ज्यादा बारिश होती है तो इसका मतलब क्या है? ज्यादा खेती होती है. The agriculture is very productive and there is surplus फूड ग्रेन दैट इज प्रोड्यूस्ड. दैट इज जो फूड ग्रेन है सरप्लस का मतलब अपनी जो नीड्स हैं, बेसिक नीड्स से ज्यादा जो फूड ग्रेन है वो प्रोड्यूस होता था. और उस फूड ग्रेन की वजह से यूसी जो लोग खेती नहीं करते थे उनको सपोर्ट किया जाता था. सिटीज एंड बिल्डिंग्स, लेट्स टॉक अबाउट सिटीज एंड बिल्डिंग्स. हर एक सिटी दो पार्ट्स में डिवाइडेड था. वन इज द सिटाडल. एक है सिटाडल जिसको ये प्लेटफॉर्म कुछ नहीं है. सिटाडल बेसिकली एक प्लेटफॉर्म है 30 to 50 यार्ड्स हाई, और उसमें जो इंपॉर्टेंट बिल्डिंग्स हैं इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन की वो होती थी. एंड देन वी हैव लोअर टाउन. लोअर टाउन और द टाउन प्रॉपर, जहां पे जो स्ट्रीट्स हैं एक दूसरे को एक राइट एंगल्स में इंटरसेक्ट करती थी. जैसे आपने चंडीगढ़ कोई गए हो, एनीबडी फ्रॉम चंडीगढ़, or maybe in western countries like New York. So the streets are intersecting each other at 90 degrees, and this is like the town planning that Hadappans had a very very far-fetched idea. सोचो कितने एडवांस रहे होंगे वो लोग. आज की डेट में भी इंडियन सिटीज का कितना बुरा हाल है आप लोगों को पता ही है, बट उस टाइम पे वो लोग ऑलरेडी ये सारी चीजें उनको प्लान कर लिया था उन्होंने. सैनिटेशन पे इतना फोकस किया, हर एक घर में अपना बाथरूम था, उसमें ड्रेन सिस्टम था, एक मेन ड्रेनेज होती थी अपने घर से, उसमें प्रॉपर सैनिटेशन सिस्टम. आई मीन वेरी वेरी फैंटास्टिक काइंड ऑफ सिस्टम दैट दे यूज्ड टू हैव. सो दिस इज समथिंग वेरी वेरी रेडिकल फॉर दोज टाइम्स. अदरवाइज उस टाइम पे कोई भी सिविलाइजेशन इनके बराबरी नहीं थी कि इस टाइप में उन्होंने कोई प्लानिंग की हो. और यू सी उनके जो ग्रैनरीज, ये जो यहाँ पे सिटाडेल के ऊपर जो इंपॉर्टेंट बिल्डिंग्स हैं, एक ग्रैनरी में मतलब जहां पे ग्रेन स्टोर किया करते थे. तो बेसिकली वो ऐसे टाइम के लिए जब लेट्स से कि बारिश फेल हो गई या फ्लड आ गया, उस टाइम के लिए ग्रेन्स वहां पे ग्रैनरीज में स्टोर किया करते थे. वी हैव द ग्रेट ग्रैनरी इन मोहनजोदाड़ो, वेरी वेरी फेमस. द ग्रेट ग्रैनरी जिसको बोलते हैं, द ग्रेट ग्रैनरी विच इज फाउंड इन मोहनजोदाड़ो. मोहनजोदाड़ो में मिलती है, विच इज इन सिंध इन पाकिस्तान. सो देयर वी हैव द ग्रेट ग्रैनरी. This is one of the such structures, the Great Bath, which is again found in Mohenjo-daro on the citadel. दो पार्ट्स में डिवाइडेड है सिटी. यहाँ पे जो मैंने बोला इंपॉर्टेंट बिल्डिंग्स हैं, यहाँ पे एक ग्रेट बाथ मिलता है. और यू सी दिस अ फ्लाइट ऑफ स्टेयर्स विच इज लीडिंग डाउन टू द टैंक. और यहाँ पे बेसिकली बोलते हैं मास बेदिंग करते थे, एक रिचुअल बेदिंग. इसका रिलीजियस सिग्निफिकेंस था जो ये बेदिंग लोग किया करते थे यहाँ पर. Then we come to the next topic, that is the houses. Next point over here, the lower city of Mohenjo-daro was carefully planned. ये हमने already बात कर ली है. cities का जो planning भी है, this is also discussed, and we have also discussed how each of the houses had its own personal bathroom. और bathroom से you see if this is the street, main street, ये घर है, यहाँ पे बाथरूम है. बाथरूम से एक ड्रेन होगा कनेक्टेड विद द लार्जर ड्रेन दैट इज रनिंग अक्रॉस द स्ट्रीट. और यहाँ पे इसका रिफ्यूज है, वेस्टेज है, ये यहाँ पे चला जाएगा डिस्चार्ज. और ये जो मेन जो यू सी जो ड्रेनेज है ये यहाँ पे इसमें चला जाएगा. एंड यू सी दिस मेन ड्रेन वाज आल्सो कवर्ड विद स्टोन स्लैब्स. आज की डेट में नहीं है कि जैसे बहुत सारे बड़े बड़े नाले होते हैं, वो ड्रेन्स होते हैं इंडिया में, म्यूनिसिपल ड्रेन्स, दे आर नॉट कवर्ड. एंड अनफॉर्चुनेटली देयर आर लॉट ऑफ डेथ्स एज सच एवरी ईयर. उस टाइम पे इट वॉज वेरी वेल प्लान्ड, ऑल द ड्रेन्स वर प्रॉपरली कवर्ड, रेगुलर इंटरवल्स में उन पे मैनहोल्स होते थे फॉर देयर अपकीप एंड मेंटेनेंस. देन वी हैव फूड. व्हाट फूड दे यूज्ड टू ईट? जो वो उगाते थे वही खाते थे नेचुरली. एंड क्या उगाते थे? दे यूज्ड टू दिस ग्रो व्हीट. व्हीट, यू नो, इन दैट पार्ट ऑफ द कंट्री, पंजाब हरियाणा एरियाज में आज की डेट में भी पॉपुलर स्टेपल डाइट है, स्टेपल क्रॉप है. बार्ले दे यूज्ड टू प्रोड्यूस ड्यूरिंग दिस टाइम. एंड देन मस्टर्ड, सिजेमे, सरसों वगैरह, ये सारी चीजें उस टाइम पे उगाया करते थे. एंड एज सच देयर वाज अ लॉट ऑफ डाइवर्सिटी इन द क्रॉप्स दैट दे यूज्ड टू ग्रो. As for clothes, you see, cotton was grown for the first time by Indians, by the Hadappans. So cotton उन्होंने प्रोड्यूस किया, पाइनियर्स थे कॉटन ग्रो करने में. और जो कॉटन ग्रो करके उन्होंने जब टेक्सटाइल्स बनाई, वो फॉरेन जो कंट्रीज हैं, लाइक मेसोपोटामियन सिविलाइजेशन, जो इराक में जो सिविलाइजेशन को मेसोपोटामियन सिविलाइजेशन कहते हैं, वो वहां पे बेचा करते थे, उस चीज को एक्सपोर्ट किया करते थे. Likewise, they used to wear a lot of fashionable stuff. In fact, Harappan people, by the way, don't consider them backward. By those times, they used to have very high fashion standard, especially the elite of the Harappan society. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि उस टाइम पे बेचारे गए गुजरे, आपने देख ही दिया हुआ कितना टाउन प्लानिंग कितना सॉलिड है. बर्न्ट ब्रिक्स उन्होंने यूज किया है. कॉटन में पाइनियर्स हैं, कॉटन टेक्सटाइल्स पहन रहे हैं. एंड देन दे यूज टू हैव अ लॉट ऑफ एम्यूलेट्स एंड ब्रेसलेट्स एंड यू सी नेकलेसेस and earrings and all those things that they used to have in various things. So they were like quite fashionable in that manner. Occupation भी कई सारी चीज होगी. Naturally, you see, it's a city civilization, it's an urban civilization that we are talking about. और कोई भी अगर urban civilization क्या सिर्फ agriculture पे depend कर सकती है? Would agriculture be the only source of occupation in an urban civilization? Of course not, because an urban civilization would have this great trade and commerce. So trade and commerce में ज्यादा वो बिलीव करते थे, और उस वजह से you see there was a lot of diversification of art and craft. कुछ लोग कारपेंटर्स थे, कुछ लोग पॉटरी बनाते थे, कुछ लोग बीट्स एंड एम्यूलेट्स, जो ज्वेलरी है, जो फैशन सेंस जो इसकी हम बात कर रहे हैं, वो बनाते थे. कुछ लोग टेक्सटाइल्स बनाते थे, कॉटन टेक्सटाइल्स. कुछ लोग प्रेशियस स्टोन्स जो होते हैं, प्रेशियस स्टोन की कटिंग किया करते थे और उनको एक्सपोर्ट किया करते थे. कुछ लोग ब्रॉन्ज मेटल बनाते थे, जो मिक्सचर है विच इज अ मिक्सचर ऑफ कॉपर एंड टिन, उसको मिला के जो ब्रॉन्ज बना के उसको एक्सपोर्ट कर दिया मेसोपोटामियन सिविलाइजेशन में. तो ये सारी चीजें ऑक्यूपेशन उनका अर्बन सिविलाइजेशन दिखाता है किस तरीके से ये एडवांस्ड एक सिविलाइजेशन था हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन. As for religion, religion में you see, you would be surprised to know that a lot of traits that we have inherited in the Hindu civilization or Indian civilization today are directly associated with Harappan civilization. For example, जो हड़प्पन्स थे वो एक इनके मेल गॉड थे which is called पशुपति महादेव, जिनको बोलते हैं पशुपति महादेव, और प्रोटोशिवा who is the male god, a three-horned deity standing, I mean sitting in a yogic posture. तो वो जो चीज है, प्लस मदर गॉडेस का कल्ट हुआ करता था. मदर गॉडेस आज की डेट में भी आपको पता है, मदर गॉडेस इज वर्शिप्ड इन द कंट्री. दे यूज्ड टू वर्शिप पीपल ट्री. क्या आज की डेट में पीपल ट्री को वर्शिप नहीं करते, सीक्रेट नहीं माना जाता? ऑफकोर्स माना जाता है. देन दे यूज्ड टू रिवेयर हम्प्ड बुल, एंड दैट हम्प्ड बुल इज द नंदी बुल ऑफ टुडे. So you can see that there are a lot of things. In fact, हमने previous slide में, अगर आपको याद होगा, तो एक great bath था, and where that great bath was, can you tell me very quickly? I would like to see whether you are paying attention or not. तो वो great bath में भी mass bathing होती थी, ritual baths होते थे. क्या आज की डेट में घाटों पे, हरिद्वार और बनारस के घाटों पे क्या mass bathing नहीं होती? क्या बिल्कुल होती है. So all these are the things that we have inherited from the Hadappans directly or indirectly. But they used to bury their dead graves. They used to bury instead of burning. So burning का जो practice आया वो काफी बाद में आया. Only one answer out of so many students. This is surprising. Guys, please don't do this. I mean, I am expecting more responses from you guys. Only Shivam has said great bath, and Benedict also has correctly mentioned it, Mohenjo-daro. But I was expecting actually more responses. But nonetheless, 2 is not enough. But I will see this. Just please pay attention in the class. This is quite important for you, whatever we are doing. And And even if you are like not able to remember, but no issues as such, but please more focus in the class. Now let's talk about the fall of this civilization. There are many theories. We don't know exactly what led to the fall of this civilization. हमको नहीं पता है. इनफैक्ट इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन के बारे में हमको काफी सारी चीजें आज की डेट में भी नहीं पता है. उनकी क्या स्क्रिप्ट थी, कौन वो लोग, उनकी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट कौन उसमें लोग थे, या यू सी जो रूलिंग क्लास कौन थी, या वो सिविलाइजेशन खत्म कैसे हुई, ये सारी चीजें, भाषा कौन बोलती थी, उनकी रेस क्या थी, एथनिसिटी क्या थी. काफी चीजों में ना डिबेट्स हैं बहुत ज्यादा. अलग अलग थियरीज दी हुई हैं अलग अलग स्कॉलर्स ने. कोई बोलता है सिविलाइजेशन का जो डिक्लाइन है दैट हैपेंड ड्यू टू फ्लड्स. सम से दिस इज बिकॉज ऑफ डिजीज, सम से बिकॉज ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज, बिकॉज उस एरिया में आपको पता है आज की डेट में ज्यादा बारिश नहीं होती, और उस टाइम पे काफी ज्यादा बारिश होती थी. हमने ऑलरेडी वो डिस्कस कर लिया है. कुछ लोग बोलते हैं, स्कॉलर्स बोलते हैं, आर्यंस आए सेंट्रल एशिया से और आर्यंस ने अटैक और इन्वेड करके हड़प्पन्स को खत्म कर दिया, एंड दिस लेड टू द एक्सटिंक्शन ऑफ द हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन. सो दैट इज अनदर थियरी. सुहास इज ऑल्सो सेइंग मोहनजोदाड़ो, बट सुहास, आई थिंक यू आर अ बिट लेट नाउ. आई हैव ऑलरेडी आंसर्ड इट, so I think it's too late. Maybe you can be more proactive in typing the answers if you already knew. Now guys, if you have any questions so far, you can let me know. Otherwise, we'll begin the third chapter of the day, and even this chapter we'll be doing in detail in the in the ancient Indian history that we'll be doing in 11th standard. But this is for your building of understanding. आपको समझ में आएगा, जैसे आपका भी इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन का एक स्ट्रक्चर, एक स्केलेटन फॉर्म में आपको एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग मिली होगी, वैसे ही इस टॉपिक में भी यू वुड हैव दिस बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द इंडो आर्यंस, अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक इन इंडियन हिस्ट्री. लाइक इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन, वो भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक है. एंड देन you see another very important topic we are going to talk about. But before that, if you have any questions, I would like to know if is it Ankit, can you rephrase your question? I am not able to understand the English that you have written. If you have any question, just I mean, what exactly are you trying to ask? कौन से एज में थे, कौन से टाइम पीरियड में? Is that what you are asking? Yes, cotton export, Shivam, did take place in Indus Valley civilization. ये लोग मेसोपोटामी, इराक में कॉटन एक्सपोर्ट किया करते थे. जो इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन थी अंकित, उसका जो अर्बन फेज था, तो 3 फेजेस थे. एक अर्ली प्री अर्बन हड़प्पन फेज, देन वी हैव मैच्योर हड़प्पन फेज एंड द लेट हड़प्पन फेज. लेकिन जब हम इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन की बात करते हैं, हम जनरली मैच्योर हड़प्पन फेज की बात कर रहे हैं, जिसमें सिटीज वगैरह डेवलप हुए. दैट इज फ्रॉम 2600 टू 1900 BC. दिस इज द टाइम वेर इन अर्बन सिविलाइजेशन हैपेंड इन हड़प्पन्स. अदरवाइज इससे पहले भी 3500 से लेके ये वाला जो फेज है, इसमें प्री हड़प्पन है, यानी प्री अर्बन है, सॉरी प्री अर्बन. इस टाइम पे अर्बन सिविलाइजेशन नहीं थी. हड़प्पन तो थी लेकिन अर्बन नहीं थी. और उसके बाद 1900 के बाद जब डिक्लाइन हो गया लगभग 1300 तक, उस टाइम पे पोस्ट हड़प्पन और लेट हड़प्पन बोलते हैं. पोस्ट हड़प्पन और पोस्ट अर्बन और लेट हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन. सो यू सी पोस्ट हड़प्पन, यू कैन से इट, यू कैन कॉल इट. तो ये वाला जो इस तरीके से कैटेगराइजेशन है. लेकिन हम जब भी आईवीसी की बात करते हैं तो हम ये वाले फेज की बात करते हैं जो मैच्योर फेज है. वी आर नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट प्री हड़प्पन एंड पोस्ट हड़प्पन. प्रसाद करेंसी यूज नहीं करते थे. उस टाइम पे सिर्फ बार्टर सिस्टम चलता था. दे डिड नॉट यूज एनी करेंसी एट ऑल. देयर वाज ओनली बार्टर सिस्टम. करेंसी हैपेंड मच लेटर आफ्टर थाउजेंड्स ऑफ इयर्स इन इंडिया. जब आर्यंस आए, आर्यंस के टाइम पे वो हुआ. Then we have another question. They also imported some metals. Yes, they imported metals from Khetri copper mines of Rajasthan. वहां से वो कॉपर लेते थे. टिन वो अफगानिस्तान से लेते थे, क्योंकि टिन लोकली पंजाब सिंध में नहीं होता, ना टिन होता है ना कॉपर होता है. एज सच दे यूज्ड टू इंपोर्ट इट. सर, डिड द आर्यंस कम ओनली आफ्टर द फॉल ऑफ आईवीसी? ये जो डिक्लाइनिंग फेज था बेनेडिक्ट, जो आर्यन इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन का, वो एक उसका जो टाइमिंग है दैट इज कंटेम्पोरेनियस विद द अराइवल ऑफ द आर्यंस इन इंडिया. तो जिस टाइम पे ये सिविलाइजेशन डिक्लाइन हो रही थी 1600 1500 के टाइम पे, और उससे पहले भी इनफैक्ट ये बोलते हैं कि 1900 से लेके जो 1500 का टाइम है, जो आर्यन सिविलाइजेशन जो डिक्लाइन हो रही थी, दिस वाज आल्सो टाइम ऑफ द अराइवल ऑफ इंडो आर्यंस इन द कंट्री। और उसकी वजह से कुछ इसलिए स्कॉलर्स ने बोला है दैट इट इज एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ दिस आर्यन इन्वेजन दैट द हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन गॉट डेसिमेटेड, खत्म हो गई। बट वी डोंट हैव एनी कंक्रीट आंसर। बट एज टू योर क्वेश्चन एग्जैक्टली इफ दे केम ओनली आफ्टर द फॉल ऑफ आईबीसी, नो, दैट इज नॉट द आंसर। They were there during this time also. Harappan civilization ki towards the end they had already appeared by then. Okay. No, there was no other civilization to which metal was exported, Ankit. So I hope you got your answer. Now we'll quickly begin with this next topic that we have, and towards the end also we can take up questions, no doubt. But अभी पहले ये chapter खत्म कर लेते हैं, then I would be happy to answer all the queries that you would have. आर्यंस, इंडो आर्यंस जिनकी हमने बात की, एक थियरी दी थी हिस्टोरियंस ने कि इंडो आर्यंस ने भी हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन को मिटाने में हेल्प किया हो, प्रॉबेबली कुछ हिस्टोरियंस ऐसा कहते हैं। तो जो आर्यंस कहां से आए, दे केम फ्रॉम सेंट्रल एशिया, दे केम फ्रॉम द स्टेप ग्रासलैंड, घास के बड़े बड़े मैदान है सेंट्रल एशिया में। जितने भी तान कंट्रीज हैं आप देख लीजिएगा कौन कौन से कंट्रीज में ये स्टेप जिसको ग्रासलैंड बोलते हैं, दिस इज वाला स्टेप नहीं है जो आप लोग समझ रहे होंगे, सम ऑफ यू, दिस इज स्टेप ग्रासलैंड, घास के बड़े बड़े मैदान होते हैं। तो ऑल द तान कंट्रीज, उज्बेकिस्तान, तुर्कमेनिस्तान एंड ऑल दोस, कजाकिस्तान एटसेट्रा, वहां से सेंट्रल एशिया से आए एंड दे फर्स्ट सेटल्ड एक्चुअली इन ईरान। वहां से आके पहले ईरान में आए, ईरान में कुछ समय रहे, उसमें से एक पर्टिकुलर ब्रांच इंडिया में एंटर कर गई पंजाब में, एंड इट इज दीज पीपल दैट केम टू बी नोन एज इंडो आर्यंस। एंड जो उनका एरिया जो सेटलमेंट था स्टार्टिंग में, दैट इज पंजाब में भी, ईस्टर्न पार्ट ऑफ पंजाब। पंजाब इज वेरी बिग रीजन विच ऑल्सो इंक्लूड्स द पंजाब इन पाकिस्तान, बट they happen to make the base of Punjab, that is in India, that is Punjab and Haryana of India, their base initially. And as such, during this time, the most important river that they came in contact with, otherwise also there are so many rivers in this area, but the most sacred river of the Indo-Aryans or the Aryans was not Ganga river. Please remember this very very carefully. सेक्रेट का मतलब फिर गंगा नहीं है, गंगा हैपन टू बी सेक्रेट फॉर द आर्यन सिविलाइजेशन मच लेटर। ड्यूरिंग दिस टाइम देयर वाज अ रिवर कॉल्ड सरस्वती, आज की डेट में वो डिसअपियर हो गई है और उस पर में भी काफी कंट्रोवर्सी है कि वो रिवर का क्या नाम है, कहां पे थी, एटसेट्रा। When the Aryans came to the country, they were pastoral nomads. वो nomads थे, घुमंतु जीव थे, one place to another they used to roam around with their horses, with their cattle. घोड़े पे you see वो लोग horses were tamed, domesticated for the first time by these Aryan people, and as such they were very good horse riders, and with them they also maintained this large flock of cattle, cows, and that is why Indian civilization has this special importance for cows. Then we have literary evidence in the form of hymns, poems and stories. तो हमको किस तरीके से हम जो उस फेज का जो हिस्ट्री है रिकंस्ट्रक्ट करते हैं, that was reconstructed in the form of the ऋग वेदा we have today. ऋग वेदा का आप सब लोगों ने नाम सुना हुआ है बहुत अच्छे तरीके से। बोलते हैं 1500 से लेके, कोई बोलता है 1000 बीसी, कोई बोलता है 900 बीसी, इस टाइम पे ये ऋग्वेदा कंपोज हुई है लगभग 500-600 साल के ड्यूरेशन में। एंड दिस इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट सोर्स ऑफ रिकंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ हिस्ट्री ऑफ दैट पीरियड। अदरवाइज जो आर्कियोलॉजिकल सोर्सेज हैं, जो ग्राउंड पे हमको सोर्स मिलते हैं, आर्कियोलॉजिकल सोर्सेज हैं, जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल उनके घर हो गए, यूसी हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन में हमने जैसे ग्रेट बाथ देखा, ग्रेट ग्रैंडरी वगैरह जो चीजें थी, वो हमको यहाँ पे नहीं मिलता। अभी आर्कियोलॉजिकल एविडेंस ज्यादा नहीं मिला है, बिल्कुल नेग्लिजिबल, ऑलमोस्ट नथिंग। जो भी हमको रिकंस्ट्रक्ट करते हैं हिस्ट्री उस टाइम की, इट इज डन फ्रॉम ऋग वेदा। ऋग वेदा से जो भी रेफरेंसेस मिलते हैं लोगों के, जो बैटल का रेफरेंसेस मिलता है, जो नदियों का रेफरेंसेस मिलता है, ऋग वेदा में क्या है बेसिकली इन द फॉर्म ऑफ इट्स द कलेक्शन ऑफ पोएम्स एंड चांट्स। जो श्लोक हैं, हिम्स हैं, जो रिचुअल्स में प्रैक्टिस किए जाते थे, वो कंटेंट है ऋग्वेदा में। बट इसके अलावा भी ये जो एक अनइंटेंशनली कई सारे रेफरेंसेस दे देता है जिससे हमको उस टाइम की सोसाइटी का पता चलता है, उस टाइम के लोगों का पता चलता है, कौन लोग थे, क्या करते थे, वो बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग हमको उस ऋग्वेदा से मिलती है. एंड देन ग्रेजुअली यू सी ऑल सेरेमनीज दे केम अप, वेरियस रिचुअल्स केम अप. ब्राह्मण्स ने धीरे धीरे उनकी पावर इंक्रीज होती गई. दे केम अप विद वेरियस रिचुअल्स, वेरियस सेरेमनीज एंड दे ऑल्सो रोट उपनिषद. उपनिषद भी उन्होंने लिखना स्टार्ट कर दिया, विच आर बुक्स ऑफ फिलोसॉफिकल डिस्कशन. They talk about Atman and Brahman, something that I and you won't be able to understand, which is purely metaphysics. So gradually with the passage of time, they also began to write all these speculations, because ये बोलते हैं जो historians हैं कि इंडिया का जो actually environment है उसमें ही कुछ बात है that is spirituality inducing. इतने जंगल्स थे, इतने नेचर में बाउंटी है, फ्रूट्स लग रहे हैं, इतने सारे एनिमल्स हैं, वो सबको देख के ही खुद ही ना स्पिरिचुअलिटी वो दिमाग में आ जाती है. नदियां बह रही हैं, इतना प्योर वाटर्स फ्लोइंग थ्रू सिंधु रिवर, फ्लोइंग थ्रू गंगा रिवर, फ्लोइंग थ्रू सरस्वती रिवर. सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर नेचुरली इंड्यूसिंग ऑफ स्पिरिचुअलिटी एंड दैट इज व्हाई इंडियंस आर मोर स्पिरिचुअल. दिस इज बिकॉज ऑफ द ज्योग्राफी. इमेजिन सिर्फ घास के मैदान हो, सिर्फ रेत हो, सिर्फ बर्फ हो, वहां पे स्पिरिचुअलिटी आएगी क्या? नहीं आएगी. एंड इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ एग्जैक्टली दिस रीजन दैट दे वर इनटू ऑल दिस सॉर्ट्स ऑफ स्पेकुलेशन एंड मेटाफिजिक्स, एंड इंडिया केम टू बी नोन एज अ लैंड ऑफ स्पिरिचुअलिटी. Kings and officers, Aryans were tribal people. We have already seen this. And you see each tribe had its king and chief, or king later became hereditary. Now this was the time when the tribal bonds were strong. If the tribal bonds were strong, even the king was not very powerful, because ultimately he was just a chief. He was just first amongst the equals. 15, 20, 50, 100 लोगों का ट्राइब है, उसमें से एक जो सीनियर पर्सन है वो चीफ बन जाएगा. बट ही वॉज नॉट अ कंप्लीट ऑटोक्रेट. उसके पास ऐसा नहीं है कि पूरी पावर्स उसके पास थी, बिकॉज इस टाइम पे ट्राइबल बॉन्ड बहुत स्ट्रांग थे. और कोई भी ट्राइबल सोसाइटी होती है उसमें सेंस ऑफ ब्रदरहुड इज वेरी स्ट्रांग. एंड एज सच यू सी द चीफ वॉज नॉट वेरी पावरफुल एंड ही हैड टू टेक the help of a lot of people, his assembly, and he had to rely upon his people. He had to rely upon priest or purohit who performed the religious ceremonies. He had to rely upon his commander who is called Senani. So he had to be by and large dependent upon his own people, upon his tribe. Powerful वो बाद में धीरे धीरे बनना start होगा. We will talk about how that conversion happened in one of the subsequent classes, how that transition happened. पहले पावरफुल नहीं था, just first among the equal, and gradually he became more and more powerful. Village में क्या है? Let's see. Village was divided into families and all the members of family lived together as a joint household. Families were patriarchal. Village को यहाँ पे ग्राम बोलते थे इस टाइम पे. Village was called ग्राम. और जो फैमिली जो यूनिट है, let's say there are 4 members in the family or 5 members in the family, उसका जो हेड है उसको बोलते कुलपति. कुलपति और कुलापा. दिस इज व्हाट द हेड ऑफ द फैमिली, द मुखिया ऑफ द फैमिली वाज कॉल्ड. और इस तरीके की कई सारी फैमिली से एक मिलके ग्राम बनता था. ग्राम मीन्स अ कलेक्शन ऑफ फैमिलीज. ग्राम उस टाइम पे इसका मतलब गांव नहीं था. इट वॉज नॉट अ सेटल्ड विलेज. यस, इट वॉज अ विलेज बट नॉट अ सेटल्ड विलेज. It was a constantly moving village of people, because in this time the Aryans were nomads, or the semi-pastoralists. एक जगह से दूसरी जगह वो जाते रहते थे, क्योंकि और एक जगह से दूसरी जगह क्यों जाएंगे वो? क्योंकि जो उनके पास कैटल था उसको चारा चाहिए था, फॉडर चाहिए था, और फॉडर एक जगह में खत्म हो जाता है. एंड एज सच दे मूव फ्रॉम वन प्लेस टू अनदर. सो इट वॉज ग्राम विच हैपेंड टू बी नॉट अ स्टेशनरी विलेज बट अ मूविंग विलेज. काउज वर द मोस्ट रिस्पेक्टेड एंटिटी. जो मैंने अभी बताया कि जो गाय की वजह से जो कैटल वेल्थ हुआ करता था, उसकी वजह से एक जगह से दूसरी जगह घुमा करते थे, क्योंकि जो फॉडर है वो एक जगह पे खत्म हो जाता था, उसकी लिमिटेशन होती थी. एंड द वेल्थ ऑफ अ पर्सन ड्यूरिंग दिस टाइम वॉज आइडेंटिफाइड ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द नंबर ऑफ काउज ही हैड. पावरफुल वो आदमी है यहाँ पे जिसके पास गाय ज्यादा है. कोई यहाँ पे पैसा वैसा का कोई कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है इस टाइम पे. बस अगर यू कैन से कि जिसके पास काउ है, that he is the most powerful person, and as such chief generally happen to have more number of cows than the rest of the people. But you see, even the cattle wealth, it was not an individual form of cattle wealth. Collectively it was owned by the tribe collectively. Then some of the crops were barley it was there. Then later on wheat and rice जब वो यूपी बिहार में आए जिस टाइम पे, तब वो राइट से फेमिलियर हुए. अदरवाइज इस टाइम पे वो जो बार्ले है, जो जौ जिसको बोलते हैं, एंड आफ्टर सम टाइम व्हीट, दे वर इंट्रोड्यूस्ड टू इट, एंड राइस came much later, and they were hunters also. Apart from that like it's very self understood, self explanatory that they also hunted wild animals for sustenance in terms of food. Now let's talk about the society. The Aryan society was divided into 4 groups and caste. Gradually they became just चतुर्वर्णा system. जो चतुर्वर्णा सिस्टम है इस टाइम से स्टार्ट होता है. इस टाइम पे बहुत बेसिक फॉर्म में है. क्षत्रियास हैं, ब्राह्मण्स हैं, वैश्यास हैं, एंड फाइनली इंडिया में इनको, जब आर्यंस इंडिया में आए, द ओरिजिनल इनहेबिटेंट्स ऑफ द कंट्री, दे वर टर्म्ड एज दासास और दस्यूज बाय द आर्यंस बिकॉज दे वर अपैरेंटली ऑफ डार्क कलर, एंड देन दे वर assimilated, they were brought into the Hindu fold or the Vedic society during this time in the form of Shudras, and there were regular fights between these dasas and the dasyus and the Rigvedic Aryans, and ultimately the Aryans happened to defeat and subjugate them, and they brought them under the Vedic fold in the form of the 4th Varna, which is the Shudras. Apart from agriculture, cattle rearing, fishing, metal work, carpentry and tanning, you see some basic occupations they had, not a urban civilization. Please keep this in mind, it was not an urban civilization. It was an agriculture, a nomadic, a pastoralist civilization. Pastoral people थे, एक जगह से दूसरी जगह घूमते रहते थे वो. अंकित, पेट्रियाकल मीन्स जहां पे फादर हेड है, फैमिली का मुखिया है, और वो जो पावर है दैट इज कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड इन द मेल हैंड्स रादर देन फीमेल हैंड्स, एंड विमेन आर सबॉर्डिनेट टू द मेल मेंबर्स. दिस इज अ पेट्रियाकल फैमिली. आज की डेट पे भी यूज करते हैं. पेट्रियाकल माइंडसेट है, इस तरह कंजर्वेटिव माइंडसेट है, ये सब चीजें इसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में बोली जाती हैं. Now let's come to the religion of these people, the Hadappans. The forces of nature, sun, stars, etc. They represented the religion, as in the case of the Indus Valley civilization and the, in fact, जितने भी tribal people हैं. खैर Indus Valley civilization तो काफी advanced था, but I am talking about the tribal people. Even in Africa today, even the tribals in India today, who are like actually living in this tribal state, they would worship the forces of nature. For example, sun god, moon god, and then we have wind god. So Aryans also, being a tribal people, they worshipped all these things because they were not able to understand the forces of nature. उनको समझ में नहीं आता था कि बारिश कैसे होगी अचानक से. तो क्या अज्यूम कर लिया कि कोई एक देवता है जो बारिश करवाते हैं, and that was Lord Varuna. And it was also in the case of Indra was also considered rain god, and likewise Varun also, apart from the god of ethics and morals, he was also considered this rain god. Then we have the god of war. Indra also happened to be a god of war for the Aryans. जितने भी जो फाइटिंग होती थी दस्यूज और दासास से, इंद्रा was supposed to lead the Aryans into battle and lead them to victory. सूरज की रोशनी मिल रही है, रात में गायब हो गई, अंधेरा हो गया, जंगल है, अदरवाइज ऑल्सो रात तो होनी ही है. They were not able to understand this phenomenon, and that made the Aryans call sun as god, that this is a god. Then likewise fire plays a very important role in the life of a man, in the life of human beings, and as such what happened was that even Agni, the fire, was worshipped, because it is said that the Aryans came from cold climate of Central Asia, which is very cold. ठंड पड़ती है, आग का बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल है वहां पे ठंडी जगहों पे, एंड एज सच इट अगेन बिकेम अ गॉड. और धीरे धीरे जो रिलीजन कॉम्प्लेक्स होता गया, रिलीजन अभी बहुत बेसिक फॉर्म में है, धीरे धीरे रिचुअल स्टार्ट हुए. जो प्रीस्ट हैं, ब्राह्मण्स हैं, दे केम टू द फ्रंट, and there were a lot of chants and there were a lot of mantras, sacrifices, a lot of books were written. हमने उन बुक्स की ऑलरेडी बात कर ली है. एक तो 4 वेद हैं, उसके बाद उपनिषद हो गए, उसके बाद भी और भी कई सारे बुक्स लिखी हुई है. तो धीरे धीरे क्या हुआ, रिलीजन की शुरुआत हो गई. रिलीजन कॉम्प्लेक्स होने लगा, सोसाइटी कॉम्प्लेक्स बनने लगी, ट्राइबल बॉन्ड्स हैं वो धीरे धीरे टूटने लगे, और जो सोसाइटी है दैट बिगैन टू मूव टुवर्ड्स द नॉन ट्राइबल फेज. यहां पे ट्राइबल फेज है, देन इट वुड बिगिन टू मूव टुवर्ड्स नॉन ट्राइबल फेज. किंग ज्यादा पावरफुल हो जाएगा, किंग की अपने जो लोग हैं उनसे दूरी हो जाएगी, एंड ही वुड जस्ट बी रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर कलेक्टिंग द टैक्सेस एंड मेंटेनिंग एन आर्मी. तो जो सोसाइटी है धीरे धीरे वो चेंज होती रहेगी विद द पैसेज ऑफ टाइम. ट्राइबल से नॉन ट्राइबल फेज, यू सी नोमैड टू सेटल्ड फेज, जहां पे गांव उनके फिर से शुरुआत होगी, गांव होंगे, फिर धीरे धीरे शहर आएंगे, और सो ट्रेड एंड कॉमर्स. तो एक दूसरा सिविलाइजेशन आफ्टर हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन दैट वुड बिगिन. विद दिस वी आर डन विद द सेशन ऑफ द डे. इफ यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चन यू कैन आस्क मी, otherwise we can break for the day. Yes, Shivam, Brahmanas and Aryankas etc. Yes, you are absolutely correct. We will talk about them in a subsequent class. In the meantime guys, please don't forget to update your this GradeUp app, and you also can go through our GradeUp Super subscription plan, which is like very fantastic, and you can go through it at least once. And in any case, do practice topic wise quizzes and keep attending the live classes. Any questions, as I said, if you have, I can take it, otherwise we would break for the day. Okay, thank you Ankit, thank you Shivam, and thank you Prasad, thank you everybody. This was the first session. I hope it made some sense to you. And for those guys who were not able to understand, by the way, please go through you can go through this video again, by the way, the recorded one, and also do go through the topics in the form of the PDF that we provided to you. It would make the job very easy. Thank you Benedict. If you think the session was on, thank you so much. Practice question, I won't be adding to these slides. Maybe you can do your own, or maybe in the form of the GradeUp app that you would have there, but I don't think we would be doing over here practice question as such. But if there is something important that I would underline, definitely underline and underscore in the class itself. So don't worry about the important stuff. I would do tell you what is it. Okay, Simran, thank you so much. Thank you Shivam. Thank you. Bye bye everyone. Take care. एनसीईआरटी बुक मुझे लगता है अंकित आप अभी कर लेंगे तो वही अप्रोप्रिएट सोर्स रहेगा, ज्यादा एडवांस करने की जरूरत नहीं है. अगर आप बेसिक एनसीईआरटी अगर कर लेंगे जो आपकी बुक है उससे, और ये पीडीएफ आपको जो मिलता है, यू सी पीडीएफ इज लाइक अ वेरी गुड सोर्स, आपको क्लास के बाद मिलेगा. स्टिल यू आर नॉट सेटिस्फाइड विद इट, यू कैन गो थ्रू द एनसीईआरटी बुक्स. अभी एनसीईआरटी में फाउंडेशन बनाइए, एडवांस चीजें बाद में करेंगे. दैट वी वुड डू विद द पैसेज ऑफ टाइम. सो दिस इज नॉट द राइट टाइम टू डू द हायर स्टफ. Thank you Mohit, goodbye. Bye bye Shivam, take care. Bye bye everyone. See you tomorrow. Bye bye. Take